Hey everyone, welcome to the live stream. Here we are going to go through and talk about ACT version 25. So a lot of people have been waiting for this. We expected ACT version 25 to come out early in the spring, February, somewhere around January, February, part of winter. Didn't happen. They pushed it back because they were waiting for some technology to kind of to get finished developing. And so now it's finally released. There are a few things that you need to know. This particular version has more technical things behind the scenes that were being done, as opposed to new features. But we are going to cover some of the new features in here. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the bug fixes. I've got an agenda. Now, typically on a live stream, I don't do an agenda, but in this case, I've done an agenda up, so just so you can kind of get an expectation of what we're going to kind of cover today. And so let me just pull that up. So we're going to talk about ACT Insights. They've added some features, some advanced stuff with what they call an advanced dashboard builder is what they called it. If you see me looking down, I've got a little cheat sheet here because there's a few things that I've got to cover and I want to make sure I don't miss anything. SMS text messaging inside of ACT. Now that's kind of cool. We're going to kind of cover that. We're going to talk about some ACT marketing automation changes. We're going to talk about ACT Companion. Now I wasn't going to put ACT Companion in here, but they had one change that they've made to it. They made a few little tweaks and adjustments, but this particular one, I know that there are a few people who would actually use this. So I thought, I've got a few minutes, I can quickly show that. And then we're going to just talk about some bug fixes that have been done, some that are coming up. And I'm not going through all of them, but I'm going to go through a few things that maybe are on your mind. What's coming up? We've got coming up, I'm going to be doing a video next week on how to set up the SMS text messaging. I'm going to set up a guide for this, a video that'll kind of walk you through it, because I'm not going to go through the whole setup on this, but there is a setup stage for it. And if you're going to use it, even test the trial out, you'll want to walk through these steps. So I will have a video out for you early next week that will walk you through those steps. For those of you who are financial advisors, Advisor v25 will be coming out soon. We'll be doing a live stream. I'm not sure if it's next week or if it's the week after, but we will be doing a live stream on that. And we have got some amazing cool things in the new Advisor. Now, the cool thing if you're not an advisor, a lot of the stuff that we've put into the Advisor are coming off as separate applications that you'll be able to use. So I'm quite excited to show you some really cool stuff. One of the things, ACT had talked about doing some upgrades to the user interface, and then they decided because of timing they just couldn't get to it. So we did. We got some really cool things that we're going to show you coming up, and so be prepared for an email that'll come out. We'll be targeting first the financial advisors because we want to show them this, but then we're going to break it apart in separate sessions and show these features to everyone, and hopefully you're going to be as excited as we are in showing this. Matt has been working his tail off trying to develop all of this stuff and waiting for some of the technology advancements to allow us to do some of the things we wanted to do. All right, so let's dive into the demo. So here we are. We just got a basic ACT layout here to show you some of the stuff. So the first thing I'm going to show you is ACT Insights. Now, I personally haven't used a lot of ACT Insights because it's fairly light, and it is still fairly light, but they've made some really good advancements in this, allowing us to kind of take it to that next step. So let's pop down to that. So we're going to go into ACT Insights. So it's just loading here. And so this is the basic one that comes out of it. There's a little gear on the left-hand side, or the right-hand side, sorry, and it allows you to change to some of the default ones that are in here. Now, I'm not going to work with the default one. I'm actually going to create one from scratch just to give you an idea, and this is something that you can play with version 25. Now, caveat to version 25, we are still testing. We were hoping to have the testing finished by today or tomorrow. However, Matt told me this morning, said, no, we need more time. We want to make sure we vet this out. So if you could hold off on installing Act version 25 for a couple of reasons. One, we want to make sure that it's a stable environment for you so that when you install it, you're not going to run into any snags. Second of all, we want to make sure all of our add-ins are going to work with it. We get releases when we did beta, but we didn't really get to test any of our add-ons with it because you wait till the final release in order to do that. And so I would hold off. What we'll do is next Friday, you'll get an email blast that'll go out and it'll say, hey, it's either thumbs up or thumbs down, or we will do a video, a live stream, and we'll explain why to hold off, or let's get rocking and going with it. All right, so let's go into this. I'm going to create a new view. Now, a new view is a whole new screen, and then we have charts inside that view. So I'm going to create a new view, and we're just going to call this, let's just call it test. Why not, right? And we're going to add that. So now we have a blank canvas of a view, and we're going to create a chart. So we're going to click on chart. Now, this is the normal way of doing a chart, is what you see right here. And we're not going to use that. We're going to use Create Advanced Chart, which gives us some more details. So we're going to click on that. And what I'm going to do is we're going to actually pull up opportunities, and we're going to show the opportunities for the last 60 days that have closed and the ones that are still open, and kind of get an idea where things are at. And again, you can mess around with this, let your creative juices flow, and figure out what you would like to report on. So we're going to call this, let's do 60-day open. Let's do 60-day open ops. And it'll be by record manager. So we're going to go over here. We're going to choose opportunities. We're going to choose record manager. And we're going to do a count, and we're going to do, now you can do different kind of charts. You can do a bar, column, pie, KPI, and a funnel. We're going to do a column on this particular one, and then on the next one we'll do a bar. Then we're going to go down here, and so opportunities, and this one is open, so we're going to go to estimated close date, and we're going to go to, let's estimated close date within the next, let's say 60 days, right? And actually, before we do that, let's, instead of doing that particular one, let's do this. Let's go down to stage first. We have to make sure we grab the right stage. And let's choose stage equals to, and then let's use, okay, hang on here. Not stage, status. That's what I was looking for. Equals to, there we are, open. So that's the first one. Then what we're going to do is we're going to add a second role, and this one is going to be the one where how many days. So we're going to do estimated close date, and we're going to make that within the next 60 days. And we're going to save the chart. So this is the ones that are coming up in the next 60 days by record manager. So each record manager is showing up there. So we're going to do a second chart now showing the ones that we won in the last 60 days. So we're going to go up here and create a new chart. Again, we're going to go down to Create Advanced Chart. We're going to call this 60 days. One. And we're going to choose opportunities. We're going to choose, let's see here, record manager. Where are we? There we are, record manager. And instead of a column count, we're going to use a bar chart this time. And opportunities, we're going to use status again, equals to, and we're going to choose 1 this time. Then we're going to add a second row. And in this one, we're going to go actual close date equals to, actually, we're not going to use equals to. We're going to go in the last 60 days and save that chart. And so now you can see the stuff that's coming up in the next 60 days. You can see the stuff that we won in the last 60 days. And so if you were looking at being able to help your salespeople and go and look in and see, well, how did they do with what do they have coming up? What did they, how did they do last month? We can see that Allison has done some good stuff here. And so if I want to see what's coming up in the next 60 days, I can just click on the bar and it will show me the stuff that she's got coming up. And if I wanted to see this one right here, we're going to click on it and it'll actually take me directly to the opportunity itself, where I can go in and have a look and make some adjustments and kind of get an idea of what's going on. So that's insights. It's actually very, just have to take your time and decide what is it I want to report on. I've done some charts that actually will pull for financial advisors, where it'll say, hey, what type of opportunities coming up specific to the financial industry. And so you can do some really creative stuff. So play around with it when you get ActV. You can play around with it now, but you're not going to have the advanced query. So when V25 is available to, well, it's available to you now, but when we say, hey, thumbs up, go ahead, mess around with it, see what you think. All right, the next thing that we want to do is the SMS. So you'll see up here, send SMS. This is a new feature that they've added into this. Now, there is a trial, but there is a cost to it. So there's when I do the video next week, I'll walk you through all the steps of setting it up and configuring it. But I just want to kind of show you, first of all, before we dive right in and actually show you this, I want to show you some of the pricing. Now, I reached out to Message Media. We've had a couple of conversations. One of the things that I was trying to understand was the plan, the payment plan here. So they've got in here, it's all in US dollars, so just be aware. And like the lowest one here is $19 a month. You get 55%, 5.5 cents per unit. I don't know what a unit is because they were talking about in another thing based on credits. And one credit is worth 160 characters in a text. So I'm going to have to give you guys an update on the pricing on this because it was kind of mismatch on some of their terminology, and I've been just waiting for them to reach back out to me so I can get a little bit better handle on some of the costing on this. And when you set up your account, like I've got my account set up here, and I'm still on a trial account. I don't have a paid account at this point. But part of the stuff you'll need to pull in is an API connection, which I've got. And I'm going to reiterate this in the training session or the setup session, is that you need to use the HMAC authentication when you set this up. And I'm going to give you a step-by-step on how to do that. So I just wanted to say that, yeah, there is some pricing. You may get a little confused with it, but I should, by hopefully tomorrow, have some information on how that all works. All right, so let me close this down. All right, so let's get in here, and we're going to send an SMS message. So I'm going to go to a contact. We've got Todd Miller here. Now, before I send out a text message, actually, I'll send it, and then I'll show you behind the scenes a little bit. So I'm going to send a text. I can't even speak today. I'm trying to talk too fast. That's my problem. I'm going to send a text message, and here's how it's going to go. We pop this up. Now, when you pop up this screen, it allows you can actually pull a template up. Now, I'm just going to use free-form text just like we normally would, but you can pull up templates to send out. And this can be actually work with different activity types as well. So I'm just going to say, hey, how is it going today? And so when you press, and this is who it's sending to, and it gives you, if you have more than one number, it's going to give you a selection here. By default, it's going to pull up the mobile or cell number, depending upon how you've got it configured. So it's going to send to that one. So I send it out. It's going to verify, are you sure you want to send this out? Yep. And so it sends it out. So I've just received it on my system here, and I'm going to send a message back. Got your message. And I'm going to send that. I'm going to put a smiley face on that one. Now, you're not seeing this, but that's okay. You'll see it in a sec here. So I send it back. Now, I'm going to give you the good, bad, and the ugly. And for those who are younger and don't understand the reference, it's based on a Clint Eastwood cowboy show. Good, bad, and the ugly here. So I'm gonna give you my honest opinion as I've gone through here. It's a great product, but you need to understand a few things. First of all, it doesn't automatically pop up right away. It will come up if I go to the settings here, account settings. It's going to do every 5 minutes, going to check and see if there's an email, if a text message has come in. You can go more than 5 minutes, but you can't do less than 5 minutes. You can do a manual one, which we'll do, but automatically it's going to go and pull them in. Problem with what I've found here so far, and I'm going to reach out to them and talk to them about some of the little disconnects that they have. One is when you receive it, when the 5 minutes comes up and it goes and does a check and pulls in the text messages, it doesn't give you a pop-up saying, hey, you received 5 text messages. It doesn't give you any kind of notification, which I thought was a little odd. So if I do a manual one, it actually would show. So if I go check for replies, it will go through and then it will pop up and say, hey, you've got 1 reply message. Problem is, it doesn't go and say, well, which ones? So I'll get to that in a second. Because I'm on Todd's record, I can do a refresh here, view, refresh. And you can see there's my outgoing one, and here's the reply one. But again, it doesn't, if I leave it go for the 5 minutes, it's not going to pop up a message, and I'm not going to know, well, who was it coming from? The only way that I was able to find out where it was coming from, and if you haven't used history, what I've done is I've taken history and I've taken everything off other than SMS messages so that I could get my SMS messages in here and I can check in here. But again, I'm not getting a notification, so it's up to me to go and manually check every so often in my history to see did I get something. And I had to go into my options and customize the columns so that I've got my details as well as my regarding. So I think it's a great program, but for one-off individual text messages, it's missing a few things. Where I would use this is you can actually send out to multiple contacts. And so if I was going to do a text message campaign kind of a thing, let's go to my list view. And we'll view all contacts. And if I was going to send out to everybody at this Ace Pet Store here, and I do lookup, selected, and I want to send a text message off to all of them, I can go text message, current lookup. So it's going to send to 5 contacts where I can send a message. This is handy because now I can send this off to multiple people. They don't need to be with the same company, and they're going to get a message. I can use a template that has some merge codes in, and I'll show you in a second here, or I can just do a free form text and fire it off. So I see a benefit right here for that particular part. One-offs, again, a little bit of a challenge because there's missing a few things. One of the things it's missing that we all rely on, whether you're using your cell phone or whether you're using an online message, is the ability to have this, where you can actually have a text chat window that you can text back and forth. It's missing that. And so that's one of the things that you're going to have to kind of come to grips with if you're going to do one-on-one. If you don't have any system other than this, you're going to make it work somehow. And I will reach out to ACT and to ask about 2 things. One, the notification, and the second one is maybe a chat window so you can actually have a conversation back and forth. All right, so just a little bit in the background, and then we're going to dive into some more things that came in this release. So I'm going to go into the account. So you'll want to make sure that this is set up. You have some optional features. One of them is having the enable the fields or creating fields. This will create two fields for you, the sent emails and the received, I keep saying emails, text messages. And so what that does is this. When I go to the contact record, let's go back to Todd Miller because I've already done it with Todd. Todd Miller. You'll see SMS received, SMS sent. It'll actually track both inbound and outbound text messages and when was the last time they were going out, which can be useful for doing searches saying, hey, when was the last time I've sent something out to this individual or not, and be able to capture that. So that's a kind of a handy feature that they've got in here. So they've got that. It'll also create, when you set it up, it'll actually create some activities, some SMS activities for you automatically. And then that way, it'll actually track those as activities, SMS, text message out and inbound. Templates. You can set up templates as defaults. So I could choose a default template like this particular one here, and that will be the default when I go and create a text message. I can edit and create a text message template. So if I was going to edit one or maybe create one, I could say, okay, hi, and then I'm going to put in S for salutation and insert field, and it'll put salutation in here. So I can actually set up a whole template and use that, and every time I press the button for SMS, it's actually going to pull that in. And then that way, I've got some structure sent to it. I've got the hi, whatever. I can even have a little bit of a signature line in there. Now, remember, you're limited to 160 characters, so you don't want to go too crazy on this and have a whole dialogue and not be able to type in your message. So keep it simple. All right. I think for this is it. And if there's any questions, here's a question here. Hang on here. I've got a couple of questions before we move on, so let me just, I forgot. Oh, here we are. So first one here, ND Clark, will SMS integrate with Ring Central? No, it would be a separate one. I run Ring Central and I use the text messaging in that. I'm going to talk about that in a second about Ring Central. But no, it doesn't integrate with it. We are looking at some integration with this for something else that we're working on, some kind of a secret thing we're working on. But we'll see. We're also looking at Ring Central for that as well. But no, the question is, will it integrate? Unfortunately not. Susan, let's see, I would think you would have to get some kind of permission from the clients to make sure. Sending out a campaign. Thank you, Susan, for that. Yes, absolutely. So you're going to want to, and this is something I'm going to actually do, is actually request, because we have all our clients that we send email messages to. What if I wanted to send a quick note instead of an email notification, a text notification that I'm going live in half an hour or an hour? What would I need to do to do that? Well, I'm going to need permission. So one-offs, not a problem, but if you're going to do any kind of bulk stuff, you're definitely going to want to get some permission for that. Let's see, Scott, what do you have here? Would the history on SMS activity sync with to API or HAC? Yes, absolutely. They are a history, so they will sync to your handheld contact API. They will also sync with Act Companion, which we're going to be talking about a little bit later. So it is a history. So because it's a history, you will be able to actually see that in Act on your mobile devices and have access to that type of information. All right, so let's move along. If you have any other questions, and thank you guys for asking questions. If you have any others as we're going along, please don't hesitate. Put your questions in, and I'll be happy to answer them if I can. There may be some questions that I'm just not sure of at this point. We'll see. All right, so we'll close this down. So because we're on the SMS track here, I had mentioned about, let's see here. Yeah, I had mentioned about the chat going back and forth. One of the things that you should be aware of, now there's a cost to this. Now, if you're going to use text messaging like SMS and it uses message media, send it out, there's a cost to that. And some costs are more expensive than others. So the cost on this one, and I'll get a better handle on a message media, I think is a little bit higher than normal. We've also used a product called Twilio and use that as a separate text messaging prior to using Ring Central. And it was probably the most inexpensive one out there for doing bulk emails if you're doing campaigns, that sort of stuff, and even one-offs. But if you have, if you're running a voice over IP system, your particular carrier for that may include text messaging, and Ring Central does. So as we use Ring Central, you can see here, I've got some buttons up here, so I can actually dial out. I don't have this configured for this demo machine, but I just wanted to kind of pop this up to show you that I can actually dial out from here. Matt created a little interface for us, and we'd be happy to make some sort of an interface for you guys. But I can also text message in here, have it go to history, have the inbound going to history. And the nice thing is as I'm having conversations with people, I get a little chat box, part of Ring Central, and I can have a conversation back and forth, and I can track it here. I don't need to have a one inside of ACT. I can have this little floater going around where I can actually have my, if somebody texts me, it bings, I look at it, and then I can have a communication back and forth. So there are ways for doing one-off text messages. One of the things I don't think I can do at this point is having a bulk campaign go out through Ring Central. Matt may be able to program something for that, but at this point, no. So I would use for bulk that SMS. I think that would work really well for that. Again, you just may need to make sure that you're tracking the history in order to see responses and that sort of stuff. All right, moving along. So the next thing I want to cover is ACT Marketing Automation. They've made some changes to ACT Marketing Automation, and to keep in on topic with the SMS, they've got an SMS component in there, which also has a cost, which I also don't know what it is because they put it out a little while ago, but they hadn't really turned on some of the features on it, and now it actually works really well. But I'm waiting for my own account. They're setting me up. It should be this week or early next week, and then I'll be actually be able to demo that, and I will be doing that as a separate video or live stream. So if we go down to ACT Marketing Automation, let me close that down. So you have lots of options for, okay, I need to close down ACT because you'll probably get this little glitch here. This is one of the little glitches that ACT is fixed in version 25, but I still have it because I don't have mine configured properly yet. I just threw it in here and it's not linking properly to my system, which on our production system, we will have that set up. With that particular, and I should mention, we're not actually using this in our production environment as well yet until we finish doing our vetting out of this. And soon as we're finished vetting out, we'll go live with it as well. So again, I would just put the brakes on if you're chomping at the bit to go to this. Just give us another week, please. All right. So let's just get this launched up. Any questions so far from what I've just covered? There we are, and marketing automation. Now, this is going to be a toss-up when you go to do bulk emails. The SMS you can do quick and dirty, so I can pull up a bunch of contacts, send them off a text message really quick, which I really like. With the ACT Marketing Automation, it's more of a campaign. There's a lot more steps involved. It has really good tracking. So what I've done is I've set up a campaign. I'm going to go to my demos here, and I set up an SMS opt into a newsletter. So one of the things I can do, I'm just going to go and edit this. So here's my campaign. Now, the neat thing is I can have multiple steps in my campaign. I can have one that's an email and then one that's a text message. So if I open up this particular one and I can have in this particular one, let's just say change activity type. And let's say this one is an email. So the first one was an email. So the first message that goes out is going to be an email. And then the second one that goes out, so this one would be an email. I'll set it up as an email template and then return. And then I want to add a second one, or maybe I want to just change this and all it's going to be is an SMS one. So I'm going to say we're going to add, insert an action after, and this one is going to be an SMS. So I click on go there, and then this SMS message, and we're going to edit the SMS message properties. And this is where you would actually type in, now it's warning me I don't have an account set up, but this is where you'd set up your message. You have 160 characters to key in there. So this could be that reminder I was referring to. So you get an email blast saying, hey, we're going to have a live stream coming up or a webinar or whatever the case may be. And then the day of, an hour before, I want to send out a text message to those who have opted in to text messages. And I can say, hey, just a reminder, hey, we're going to be starting in an hour. Just wanted to let you know. So I could key that in and refresh that and then save and return. But that's how that would work. So you do have the ability now with multiple ways of doing text messages. You can use SMS that's built into Act, set it up and use it. I think it's a great thing. I think you get a free trial. Try it out. See what you think. Oops, I clicked the wrong button. So play with that, see what you think. Any questions and stuff like that as you're messing around with it when you do get version 25, please don't hesitate to reach out. We have access to talk to the developers and make sure that, hey, stuff like the chat box, can they put that in? Maybe they can't, I don't know. All right, so that's that particular one, the SMS. Now the next thing they've done is when we go to campaigns, so I'm going to kind of return from that. And in the campaigns, and by the way, I'm going to be doing a bunch of videos up on Act Marketing Automation coming up shortly here. We held off because we've been just burning the midnight oil working on some of our new features that are coming up for financial advisors and for regular Act users, some new things that are coming out. And so I just wanted to make sure that we had all that buttoned up before I kind of dove into this. One of the things with campaigns is when I've got a bunch of campaigns here, I'm going to go into the dashboard. Now this dashboard pulls up all the campaigns for a specific time frame. And what they've done is they've done some additional filters in here that they hadn't had before. So this is the last since June 1st to June 30th. You can see there's only been a few campaigns that have gone out. But I want to just be able to pull up. And what they've done is they've added this properties component where I can jump to the campaign dashboard, and then jump to or do an export of all emails in that particular campaign. So it's giving you a little bit more options to work with the whole campaign list. And then if I wanted to jump to this particular campaign, I can jump to it. It'll actually show me what's being sent. You can see I've got an email that went out instantly, and then one went out 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time this morning, and then I can return back. But that's the filter that they put on that. Nothing like earth-shattering. They also, one of the things you should be aware of, and they've added some new functionality to that as well, and probably not a lot of you even know this, but you have a suppression list. Now, depending upon what version of the Act Marketing Automation you have, will depend on what functionality. So the basic, I don't know if you can, like I've got the top one, the high, I think it's ultimate version. And in mine, I have access to everything. So you may or may not have some of this functionality, but I can go into the suppression list, and I want to go into email suppression list and click on go. And this is going to show all the people, whether they're unsubscribed or bounced or whatever the case may be. They've got some filters up here now that I can just type in and say, show me the bounced. And we're just going to go contains. And now I've got all the bounced, list of all the bounced ones. And there's also the ability that you have, not only with these filters, that you can actually do a search on these different date, email address, what is the reason, the status. These filters are going to come in handy as you're sifting through specifically stuff like bounce, where, oh, why did it bounce? Was it a hard bounce or a soft bounce? And I'm not going to get into the difference between the two, but there are reasons that some of this stuff gets bounced, and so you're going to want to find out, okay, why, and maybe you just got the wrong email address or what have you. But one of the things you should be aware of, if I take let's say Ben Butler here, and I want his bounce, and I want to change, undo that, I can click on the X, and I can update the status, meaning he's fixed whatever was bounced, and we can update that. And then if we did the unsubscribe, I'm just going to take that out and no filter, and grab an unsubscribe. So if I took Elf Nunweiler here, and I want to unsubscribe him, so he's unsubscribed, suppressed, I can go in here and I can say update. Okay, I'm getting an error, and I can fill that in. You can actually unsubscribe him. For some reason, mine's not. Yeah, no, that's not doing. You can actually update that so he's not suppressed. Let's see if I can do another one. I was messing around with that one yesterday. Yeah, no, I'm getting the same message. I can update, but I can't unsuppress. There is an ability to unsuppress, but I'm getting an error message here, and it was probably because I was messing around on this demo database yesterday, and I think I might have messed something up. There's a problem when you're working in a demo database, and you can mess stuff up, and I probably did. But you do have the ability, and try it out. Now, if somebody says, hey, I unsubscribed by mistake, you can go in here, click on the X, and have that person subscribed again. But it's going to pop up with a warning window telling you, hey, make sure you got approval to unsubscribe this person, and then you click OK, and then that person will be unsuppressed. You'll be able to actually send them out email or text messages. All right. All right, I think that's it for AMA. Let's go over to, all right, we're going to go into Act Companion, and I got to put my cheaters on here. All right, so as you can see here, we got into Act Companion, and for those of you who haven't used it, it's free. This is a free app that you can use. It has uses what they call an API link. It's a watered down version. If you've used handheld contact, it's a little bit watered down version from that. But it's actually a pretty decent application for what it does. I actually use this because it's just quick and easy. And it does a direct link directly into Act. So I'm going to click on the little hamburger up on the top left-hand corner. And I'm going to go down to, you have a bunch of different things. I've got hot leads, I've got searches, activities, histories, Scott, this is where you'd actually see your histories. When you click on that, it'll show the histories based on clients. But you can also go to the customer record and see their histories in there as well. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time. I've done some videos on this already. But what I want to do is, this is what they've added, this proximity search. And in the proximity search, if I tap on that, let me move my arrow out of the way. Proximity search, there we are. What it is going to do is it's going to put a pin where you are. Now you have to make sure that location's set up on yours. This little one right here, this little act, that's me. And then this is all of the clients in a 50-mile radius. Now, if I go up to the top here, I've got a little filter and then I've got a pin. And I'm going to show you how to use those. So I'm going to go up to the filter. And so I've got a 50 kilometer, not mile, 50 kilometer radius. And I'm just going to cancel that. And then I can just use my fingers to go out. And you can actually see where all of these people are. And I can drop a pin in different places, but I can even tap. So if I tap on this smiley face right here, it's going to show a list of the people. And then you can see here, I've got a little link here where I can actually go to their records. Now, all of these people are at the same location. So these people here that's why it pulls up a list of people, because these are all the contacts that belong to that particular company. And so when you click on that, it's not going to just show the company name and the individuals. It's just going to show all the individuals, and then you're going to go, oh yeah, I want to see Robert here. And that's how that would work. So let's just tap out of that. Turn off the filter and back to the map. Search here. Okay, I didn't really want to search there, but okay, so now it's just pulled up in that area. So we're going to go back. Let's go back out, back to the hamburger. We're going to go to contacts, and then we're going to go back to there because I'm going to show you something really cool. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually move my mouse, and we're going east. So from Calgary, let's pull this out here, and we're at Lake Winnipeg. Yeah, we'll go past Winnipeg, and let's go down. Thunder Bay, no, let's keep going, and okay, let's zoom this out so I can see there. I was trying to get to Toronto. There we go. So let's go to Toronto, and I'm going to drop the pin. Search there. So now what I did is I dropped the pin, and then I go search here. So you click on there, it puts the pin down, and then you click search. And now we got a ton of clients in Toronto here, as you can see. So here's all the people in Toronto, and again, I can go to different places, click, and I can see the different people in that particular location. And I don't need to X that out. And so you can see that if you are going to go, maybe you were living in Toronto, you're going out to Hamilton, and you wanted to make some calls while you're in Hamilton. You can do a search, put a pin in Hamilton, and say, hey, I want to do this within a 10-kilometer radius, and you can see all the people pop up, and then you can click on their record and say, hey, I'm just in your neighborhood. Do you mind if I stop by? Bob's your uncle. So let's, you can actually pop on any of these pins here, and then just click on the person. I just clicked on the person. There's Luke, and then I can go in here and pull up his record and have a conversation. Give him a call and have a conversation with him. So that is the Act Companion Proximity. For some of you, this is kind of a really cool thing and might make your work a little bit easier. Let's see. Oh, this is cool. Does their email matter? Email. Yeah, let me get back to you. I love this. And I'm going to get back to you, but I love this. The Canadian Thor. I'll get back to you on that one. Okay. All right. Let's move on. All right. So we're 44 minutes into this, so I want to kind of wrap this up really quick. One of the things, let's go back out here. I don't need those anymore. One of the things that you want to be aware of, we're going to be talking now about some of the bug fixes. Now, let's kind of go in order here. So I'm going to go to the calendar first, and I'm going to use this as an example. And in the details, they changed this from a rich text file or an RTF file back in 2022, version 2022, sorry, and they went to an HTML editor. I'll be honest, they don't have it. It's got some glitches still, and they've done some fixes to it. One of the fixes that they were supposed to do with this release, which is coming, they weren't able to get it out on this release because things kept getting delayed from the not the programmers, but where they were sourcing the interface out. And so this little interface is not fixed yet. August, I believe it's the first week in August. They have a whole new one. They've been testing it out. They've got a few little things that they're working out with the developer on. And so this, where the formatting sometimes doesn't stick and there's a few little issues, that isn't fixed yet. Okay, just so you know, as we vetted this out, this is one of the things we checked, and we checked with ACT, and it's coming. It's going to be on an update in August. So just wanted to make sure that you're aware of that. Outlook fixes, the integration with Outlook. Right now, and I've got to show you a pop-up screen here. I think is it this one? Hang on. There it is. So you see on the screen here, if your Outlook has this little button here where it says try the new Outlook, do not be tempted to click on try it out. And I'll tell you why. The COM files that are in there, and you're saying, well, okay, Gary, what's a COM file? The COM file is what links ACT to Outlook. And it's a communication app that goes back and forth. Now I'm just going to, let me just take that off. Let me get back in here and take that off. There we are. So in the COM file, in a previous video I did that you may or may not have seen, I talked about these add-ins where they could get disabled, slow and disabled add-ins. This is where the COM files come in. And some of the things that Outlook will do all on its own is disable the COM file, and then your ACT does not link to Outlook because it disabled it. So one of the things that ACT is doing, or Outlook, let me rephrase that. What Outlook is doing is they have this little, now this particular version of Outlook doesn't have this, but it'll have this try. They're going away from the COM files. So soon, and for those of you that may have tested it and go, hey, my ACT isn't, emails aren't linking, that's the reason why. If you've tested out that new ACT thing, they've disabled the COM files. Are using a whole different protocol. So ACT was trying to get that fixed and then realized that Microsoft is changing the whole protocol. And so they, it's like, okay, now what do we do? So they're going to a whole new system that is doesn't rely on COM files, which is everybody does. I mean, COM files, I use Mind Manager. My Mind Manager was disabled last week because of the COM file got turned off in Outlook. And so there's a lot of programs that rely on those COM files. So it's going to be a bit of a challenge for Microsoft. But anyways, ACT is going away from that, and they're going to fix, they're using another protocol with another company they've partnered with in order to pull all this together. We'll have this year. So my apologies. It's not fixed yet for attaching emails. But there are options. If you watch the video that I did a week or two ago on how to fix it, there's ways that you can fix it yourself. And there's third-party apps that we use that can mitigate that problem and get you up and going and have the email attached. So the good answer is, yeah, there's a solution, but it's not built into ACT yet because of all these changes fostered by Microsoft. So just so you're aware of that. What they did do is they did some API fixes, which changes some of the speeds, load speeds, and some of the reaction things. We're not finished vetting that out to find out what API things that they've changed. API stands for Application Program Interface, and it's what communicates outside of ACT to different things. Like Insights, for an example, is an API connection. And so it needs to go out, pull that information back, and if that gets damaged or what have you, if the protocol doesn't connect properly, then you have some issues. And so they've revamped stuff based on Matt's information that he's shared with them on maybe some changes they could make that would speed things up and make things a little better. And we found a few that they have actually done exactly what we requested. And so there's still a few that we need to test out on that, on the API fixes. They've done a ton of other bug fixes behind the scenes that I'm not going to go into that you wouldn't even know about, and it's a long list. This whole launch has been mainly on getting infrastructure stuff stable, and in doing so they found things that, hey, we need to kind of take it to another level, like the integration with Outlook, meaning Microsoft is making some changes, so they are forced to making some changes, and taking a little bit longer to have the detail screen where it's an HTML script, changing that to a better build of that, and taking their time and making sure they're getting a proper one that is going to do the job. So they're doing a great job on doing this. It's just we're going to have to be a little patient on some of those things we've been waiting for. But one of the big things was the API connection, and again, we'll let you know how that works. They did do a schema update, and for those of you who don't know what a schema update is, they haven't done a schema update since version 21 of ACT. But now they've had to, because of some of the changes, the API changes and some of the other stuff that's coming up here shortly. They had to do some changes there. And so just be aware when we make a change to go to version 25, you can't go back to 24. However, I've heard some noise that it's not as harsh as it was in previous ones, where maybe you can have a version 24 user using it as well as an ACT 25 using the same database, where before, if you went to 25, everybody had to go to 25 or whatever version it was. Now, my understanding is, and Matt's vetting that out to make sure that's actually accurate as well, that we could have somebody on 25 and somebody on 24. I'll give you a heads up on that at the end of next week once we've finished doing our testing. Hopefully this has been helpful. Again, version 25, there's not a lot of, woohoo, look at all of the fancy stuff they've added. They've added some cool things, but again, the idea here was to have a good, stable infrastructure for this to work on, and they've been doing a great job on moving that forward. If you have any questions that you need to talk to me one-on-one, please direct message me or put some comments in the bottom. Thor, I'll get back to you on your question there. And thanks for attending today. Hopefully this has been beneficial for you. And look forward to an email next week on setting up the SMS text messaging, the new feature in version 25, so you'll get a handle where you can try that out. And then we'll be doing a live stream pretty shortly here on some other new cool things that we've developed that I think you're going to be totally excited about. Anyways, have yourself a great day, folks. All the best. We'll talk to you on the next one.